Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarini Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So all of us, we have gathered here to participate in this wonderful function where Amit Prabhu and his family, they have accepted to take on the responsibility of serving Krishna and Srimati Radharani in the form of deities. So we are already running a little late, in the sense our biological clock is telling us that we are hungry, and our devotional sentiments are stimulating us to honor prasad. However, we'll have to wait for their lordships to be back here so that we can have the wonderful arati and we can properly welcome them. The ceremony is not complete as yet. So I am the person that is acting as the space filler. So I'll be doodling here and you can do the same with me. However, because we are very expert at dovetailing everything in Krishna's service, so we'll be talking about Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. About 500 years ago, in the holy land of Vrindavan, far, far away from where we are today, geographically far, far away, along the banks of the river Yamuna lived a saint the saint had taken up his residence on a small hillock that was overlooking the beautiful river flowing through this tract of land, where Yamuna practically is embracing this tract of land with her flow. Vrindavan is a place where River Yamuna stretches out her arms, and therefore she is flowing on three sides of Vrindavan. She comes in from the north, and then she changes direction to circumambulate this holy land. And finally, she kind of takes a U-turn now, a little, it's like a V-shaped flow, and then she flows towards the east. So, the saint was living on this hillock. The tradition, or let us say, because of the traditions that, or a historical event that had happened in those parts, that hillock was called as, or is still called as, Dwadasha Aditya Tila. Sometimes it is also called as Dwadash Surya Tila. So Adityas are the son of Aditi, and they have special powers. They have been empowered to be the presiding deities in heaven, called as the Devatas, or in the upper planetary systems, they're called as the Devatas. And they give a lot of facilities to maintain life. So the sons of Aditi are pro-life, I'm so sorry. They are very much instrumental in facilitating life. And they have their cousins who are called as the Daityas. The Daityas are more concerned about their own individual personal lives. It could be at the cost of the other living entities' comfort. So the Daityas are typically selfish, and the Adityas are generally selfless. So 5,000 years ago, Krishna had taken a plunge into the river Yamuna. Some people say that he wanted to set things right in the river Yamuna because the dangerous snake Kaliya was there in the lake. So Krishna used that to also fulfill his desire to dive into the Yamuna. He's a master of many arts, the Supreme Lord Krishna. So rather than just tread into the waters, he decided to climb up a tree and jump in. So he jumped in. And he stayed there for a long, long time. For a few moments, he was trying to swim away from the fangs of this snake, Kaliya. At other moments, he was trying to get Kaliya entangled by going around in circles. Then he decided to climb onto the hoods of Kaliya and dance. And finally, he sent Kaliya away. And he made him legally sign a document that he would never return back. So Kaliya had to give up all of his rights on that property. So technically, Kaliya, who was a usurper, had to leave. And a beautiful temple manifested within the waters of that lake once again. This is temple of the mind. Mentally, you have to imagine that there was a temple, the Kaliya Daha, the lake, where Kaliya was taught a lesson in humility and service. So Krishna comes out. And then all of his friends are having a good time. They are dancing around like, if the friends had smartphones, then they would be taking selfies, I guess, with Krishna. But they're happy. Then they find Krishna is no longer amongst them. So where is Krishna? And one of the little boys says that I saw him walk up this hillock. So all of them, the friends especially, the adults are still, they are trying to see that everything is properly managed. The children, Krishna's friends, they climb up that hillock. Till that time, it was just a hillock. Now Krishna climbed it up in this pastime, so they went after him. And they saw him standing at the top of this hillock with his hands on his face like this. And 12 suns had appeared all around him. So Krishna had turned on the air conditioning. He wanted to feel some warm air because he had been in the cold waters of the Yamuna for a long time. Now we may imagine, why didn't the Yamuna regulate her temperature? She tried. However, Kaliya had a strong influence on that lake. So Kaliya's cold heart had turned the waters very cold. So Krishna was feeling very cold there. So he comes up and is like looking up into the sky at the one sun. Like, please give me some heat. So the single sun that is there, the sun in the sky, he immediately gets on a conference call with his brothers. And he tells all of them, come on, this is not a remote Zoom call. You all have to be here in person. So all of them come there in person, 12 of them. And now Krishna is feeling so comfortable. I'm not sure if this can be understood here. Maybe if you have visited Hawaii or Florida and such places, and you are actually at the beach. But in India, growing up in India, I can relate to this. Maybe some of you can also relate to this. When we want to experience warmth due to being exposed to cold, then you are not comfortable or you're not convinced that you're sufficiently warm till the time you start sweating. Can you relate to that? Yeah, it's relatable. So Krishna was there and the 12 Adityas had come like 12 suns. So Krishna stayed there and he was being washed by his friends. And Krishna started perspiring. The phenomena of perspiration in the Sanskrit language is also called as praskandan. So Krishna perspired so much that a lake formed at the bottom of this hillock. It is called as Praskandan Lake. Praskandan Kund. And after that, Krishna told them, all right, this is okay. Now I have perspired, so I am comfortable. You can go back to your services. So they disappeared. Many, many years later, Vyasadeva had this revelation. So Vyasadeva, he put forth this particular event in his books. It is called as his Thalapura. So that is how we get to hear of it. So this saintly personality who had come all the way from Bengal because he was encouraged to come to Vrindavan and experience the mood of Vrindavan and rejuvenate the holy places in Vrindavan. This saintly person was living there. His name was Sanatan Goswami. So he lived a very austere life. And he would travel places in Vrindavan. So one day he had gone across the river Yamuna to the town of Mathura, to the city of Mathura. And as he was traveling around the city of Mathura, he saw a few children playing. He was very attracted to them playing. Later on, he would wonder why was he attracted to children playing. But at that moment, it was as if it had caught his interest.
Maharaj is online. Giriraj Maharaj.
So we'll stop. We have Giriraj Swami Maharaj online, and Maharaj is going to bless us with his wonderful realizations and blessings. Yes.
So you can see him. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavats, please accept my humble obeisance at your lotus feet.
Right. Thank you.
Can we get a mic here? Yeah. Maharaj, can you see the whole congregation here?
Yeah, it's a beautiful arrangement with so many people.
Maharaj, His Grace Rohinipriya Prabhu was just giving the talk here.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Some of it.
Yes, Prabhu. So, would like to introduce Maharaj to the crowd. If that's okay, Maharaj. Give me a minute. So, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. I don't have words to say, but Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada started the movement, Srila Prabhupada said, Vrindavan is my home, Mayapur is where I do worship, and Bombay is my office. And then at another time, Maharaj says, Bombay is Giriraj, and Giriraj is Bombay. I have a very limited understanding, but in today's time, if you want to experience Srila Prabhupada, you need to experience Maharaj. Maharaj, everything he does is what Srila Prabhupada would do. What he speaks is what Srila Prabhupada has taught us. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for coming, taking your time out. And Maharaj, we just finished Abhishekam. The deities are being dressed right now, and we are all ears, Maharaj. So please speak for whatever time, Maharaj, you have.
Right. Just a moment. So I will read one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, The Glories of Devotional Service, Text 36. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Darshaniya Vayaparudara Vilasa Sekshita Bhama Suttai Kritat Mano Krit Paranam Chamakir Ani Chito Megatim Anvimprayute. Translation. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. I'll read it again because it's so important and we want to catch every word. Yes, this is Lord Kapila, the son of Deity speaking. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagement, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are three divisions of devotees: first class, second class, and third class. Even the third class devotees are liberated souls. It is explained in this verse that although they do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotee is absorbed in thought of him and loses all other consciousness. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. I have been working on my next book, which is about traveling with Srila Prabhupada in India. And I have come to the description of Srila Prabhupada's visit to the Ardha Kumbh Mela in Prayag. And there, one of his disciples asked him that it is said that one takes bath, in the sacred Triveni at the auspicious time, one will be liberated. And Srila Prabhupada replied, we have not come here for that purpose because we are already liberated. But we have come here to preach Krishna consciousness. So the idea is that by being fixed in Krishna consciousness, one is liberated without separate endeavor. So I'll continue reading the purport. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Simply by discharging uncontaminated devotional service as prescribed in the scriptures, one becomes equal to Brahman. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Brahma Muyaya Kalpate. That's Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Yabam Shayam Vyabhicharine Bhakti Yogena Sevake Sangunam Samatitaityam Brahma Muyaya Kalpate. One who is fully engaged in devotional service rises to the platform of Brahman and is liberated. This means that the living entity in his original state is Brahman, because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman. But simply because of this forgetfulness of his real nature as an eternal servitor of the Lord, he is overwhelmed and captured by Maya. This forgetfulness of his real constitutional position is Maya. Otherwise, he is eternally Brahman. And Srila Prabhupada said that by engaging in deity worship, we realize that we are not the body. It is part of one of the results of engaging in deity worship. Continuing the purport. When one is trained to become conscious of his position, he understands that he is the servitor of the Lord. Brahman refers to a state of self-realization. Even the third-class devotee who is not advanced in knowledge of the absolute truth, but simply offers obeisances with great devotion, thinks of the Lord, sees the Lord in the temple, and brings forth flowers and fruits to offer the deity, becomes imperceptibly liberated. Shadayam Vitaha. With great devotion, the devotee offers worshipful respects and paraphernalia to the deity. The deities of Radha and Krishna, Lakshmi and Narayan, and Ram and Sita are very attractive to devotees. So much so that when they see the statue decorated in the temple of the Lord, they become fully absorbed in thought of the Lord. That is the state of liberation. And these deities, I don't know if perhaps their name has not yet been disclosed, but these deities are very attractive, and one can easily become absorbed in thoughts of them and thus become imperceptibly liberated. Back to the purport. The deities of Radha and Krishna are very attractive to devotees. So much so that when they see the statue decorated at the temple of the Lord, they become fully absorbed in the thought of the Lord. That is the state of liberation. In other words, it is confirmed herewith that even a third-class devotee is in the transcendental position, above those who are trying for liberation by speculation or by other methods. Even great impersonalists like Shukadeva Goswami and the four Kumaras were attracted by the beauty of the deities in the temple, by the decorations and by the aroma of tulsi offered to the Lord, and they became devotees. Even though they were in a liberated state, instead of remaining impersonalists, they were attracted by the beauty of the Lord and became devotees. In other words, the form of the Lord, even the deity form of the Lord, is transcendental. And impersonalists who are already liberated, such as Sukadeva Goswami and the four Kumaras, became attracted by the beauty of the Lord. And thus they went beyond their impersonal liberation to become devotees of the Lord and engage in devotional service. Back to the purport. Here the word vilas is very important. Vilas refers to the activities or pastimes of the Lord. It is a prescribed duty in temple worship that not only one should visit the temple to see the deity nicely decorated, but at the same time he should hear the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, or some similar literature which is regularly recited in the temple. So this is another important point. Srila Prabhupada explains that there are two processes, Bhagavat Marg and Panchakshriti Vidhi. Bhagavat Marg refers to hearing and chanting about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. That's Bhagavat Marg. And Panchakshriti Vidhi means deity worship. And Srila Prabhupada explains that one should follow both simultaneously. Just like a train goes forward on two tracks, similarly, we advance in devotional service on two tracks. Bhagavat Marg, that means chanting and hearing about Krishna, and Panchakshriti Vidhi, deity worship. When we do both simultaneously, we make very good progress. And back to the purport. In this way, their minds may remain always absorbed in the thought of the Lord, his form, his activities, and his transcendental nature. This state of Krishna consciousness is a liberated stage. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 important processes in the discharge of devotional service. Actually, I was going to mention this, and here I see Srila Prabhupada has already made the same point in the purport here about the 5 most potent items of devotional service, one of which is deity worship. So, Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 important processes in the discharge of devotional service. 1, and I'll mention the Bengali from Chaitanya Charitamrita. 1 is Namasankirtana, to chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 2, and again in Bengali is Sadhu Sangha, to associate with devotees and serve them as far as possible. Now, in the description of Sadhu Sangha by Sri Rupa Goswami in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, Swajati Ashaye Snigde Sadhu Sangha Swatovari. So Swajati Ashaye Snigde, Srila Prabhupada translates as one should have similar affection for the Lord. And sometimes that Snigde is taken to mean that the sadhu should be affectionate to you. So Swajati Ashaye Snigde Sadhu Sangha Swatovari. And Swatovari means that he should be more advanced than you are. So this is the precise definition of Sadhu Sangha given by Sri Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But in a general sense, Sadhu Sangha means to associate with devotees, as Sri Prabhupada says here in the purport 2. To associate with devotees and serve them as far as possible. 3, and the Bengali is Bhagavat Shravana, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. 4, and this is Murti Shraddhanvita Sevana, to see the decorated temple and the deity. The literal translation of Murti Shraddhanvita Sevana is to serve the deity with faith and veneration. And, if possible, 5, to live in a place such as Vrindavan or Mathura, and the Bengali for that is Mathura Vas. These 5 items alone can help a devotee achieve the highest perfectional stage. Yes, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says that that these 5 items are so potent that even by a sight association with any one of them, one can achieve perfection. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita and here in Srimad Bhagavatam. The 3rd class devotees can also that 3rd class devotees can also imperceptibly achieve liberation is accepted in all Vedic literatures. And I will just briefly read the previous verse, because we had a little context, and it's 35. Pasyanti me ruchiranyamba annasanta prasanna bhaksharana lochanani rupani divyani varapradani sakam vacham spriyani vadanti. Translation: Oh, my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form, with eyes like the morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. So it is very auspicious that these beautiful deities are being installed today. And so, yes, the Abhishek has been done. And what is the position now?
Maharaj, with the permission, I can go and find out if the deities are ready to. They are. Prabhu, they are. Maharaj, they are ready to come. Would you be okay if we bring the deities up with some kirtan?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Please.
Is that okay, Prabhu? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody please get up and